Hey guys, welcome to my fall TBR. It's fall, guys, it's fall, and I am ready for the reading because I feel like fall, winter, a little bit of spring is always just the best reading time for me personally. It just feels so cozy. You're just in your bed. Yes, I know my vibes are very colorful, very spring, summer, but I just love getting cozy in bed with a nice tea and just reading. So I am very excited for the fall time, and I have some really fun fall books if they want to stay up to read. So let's get into them. The first one, which I literally unboxed yesterday in a blind date with a book, my first ever blind date with a book, which I'm very excited about, is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. It was described as gothic, spooky mystery, and I feel like I know I'm a scaredy cat. I don't really do scary stuff, but I feel like I'm trying to branch out a little bit. I read 2 mysteries over the summer and I did actually really enjoy them. Yes, this is definitely gonna be a lot more because it said gothic, it said spooky, but I think I'm feeling okay because, you know, it's Ray Bradbury. It's more of a classic novel. It was written in 1962. There's like 3 publication dates on here, so I'm mildly confused, and they're kind of pretty different decades. So anyway, though, I am excited. I am definitely scared. The back and the cover in general is just kind of giving really scary, but I think maybe like around Halloween, when I feel like I could maybe be in the mood for a little bit scary, maybe this on the side of some of the other books that I have could be fun, could be good. I am definitely scared though, and it says it's the week before Halloween and Cougar and Dark's Pandemonium Shadow Show has come to Greentown, Illinois. The siren song of the calliope entices all with promises of youth regained and dreams fulfilled, as 2 boys trembling on the brink of manhood set out to explore the mysteries of the dark carnival's smoke, mazes, and mirrors. They will also discover the true price of innermost wishes. The whole the week before Halloween thing definitely is just gonna set it in an even scarier thing than general. I'm not a big Halloween fan in general, and the only really Halloween-y things that I do around the time are watch like Halloween Town and maybe bake a little bit more than usual, even though I already bake a lot. But I'm not really a scary story kind of person, so I am scared, but I think it'll be good to have something a little bit outside of my comfort zone. And I have like little teas and chocolates and knickknacks that I got with like the blind date with a book, which I think will be fun. So got that. Then the next book that I'm going to be reading on my Kobo is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I've just heard a lot of good things about this fantasy. I believe it's a standalone, if not like maybe a duology, but I kind of like that it's 1, maybe 2 books, just because I feel like a lot of the times with fantasies there's just a lot to get into. Sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming knowing that there's a whole series, and honestly I do love a good series, but I feel like during uni sometimes I need a little bit less of a time commitment as a series is, just because I feel like I'm definitely, you know, focusing on uni. It's my final year, I have my dissertation to write, like there's a lot going on, and so I like the idea of a standalone. Let me actually check if it's a standalone because I could be so dropping misinformation. Is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig a standalone? No. That's great. That's great. That's great. But we don't know how long the series is gonna be. Okay. That's fine though, because I have still heard good things, and currently there's only 1 book out, which I think is still like good because it doesn't feel like a current time commitment that I kind of need to like push myself in. There are definitely books on here that are part of a series that I will be reading and I'm very excited to read, but I like the idea of just being able to like read 1 book and just kind of call it a day. So we've got that. Then we have The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Once again, a little bit of a mystery, but I feel like this one, it gives like cozy, funny mystery. I don't know if it's just the cover or the fact that it's not like terrifying to look at like this, but I feel like it's gonna be like fun. Oh, it literally says compassionate, warm, moving, and so very funny. So smart and funny, deplorably good as the 2 blurbs on the front. So I feel like this is just gonna be like fun, chill. I think like now that I've read 2 mysteries this summer, I feel like I know so much, right? I feel like they're just a good thing to pick up as like a palette cleanser. It's easy to get through, easy to understand what's happening. You know there's gonna be a mystery, you go around solving it. At the end there's, you know, it's very obvious how the story's gonna go, which I think is good during uni when there's just like so much going on and I just kind of need something that's like, I know where I am, I know where I left off. Let's read the back blurb because I don't really know what this one's about, but also there's a show that came recently about this book, which I think will be fun when I finish this to be able to like watch that because I'm always looking for a new show. We've got 4 unlikely friends, a shocking murder. In a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. But when a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, the Thursday Murder Club finds themselves in the middle of their first live case. Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim, and Ron might be pushing 80, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? I feel like that sounds really funny and cute. Like they're all just like older retirees. They love a little like mystery case. They love a little, what is that called? True crime, and they meet up every Thursday to talk about murder, and now there's an actual case. I think that sounds really fun, and yeah, I think it'll be chill. I'm excited. Then we have Pictures of You by Emma Gray. I feel like this one's not really in the general vibe of fall, but I do like just throwing in some different kinds of books. This one is, it's kind of a literary fiction, I believe, about a, let me pull out the blurb. I could be so wrong, but I think it's about a girl who gets into like some kind of accident and has amnesia now, and she's like trying to figure out her life. There's like someone who says that he's her husband. There's, I don't even know. Let's just read the blurb. If you knew then what you know now, would you make the same choices? Imagine having a second chance with the one you never forgot. When Evie Hudson wakes in an unfamiliar hospital room, she thinks she's fresh out of a teenage party with her best friend Bree. Except Bree isn't around anymore and high school was years ago. Evie had just survived the crash that killed her husband Oliver, whom she can't remember either. After suffering a traumatic loss of memory, she's left to connect the dots, but how? Drew, a promising photographer whose chance encounter with Evie unravels the elusive details of her marriage and her husband's death. As Drew watches Evie stitch the story of her life together, secrets emerge that might shatter both of their worlds. This tangled second chance romance leads Evie to question every decision she's ever made. This time around, she's seeing all the things she missed and the life she gets to choose again. Okay, very interesting. Also, I feel like a little bit mystery-esque, but it's like the mystery of your own life. Probably, I'm assuming, like nearly a decade later, if she thinks that she's still in high school and now she has a husband. I'm very intrigued by that one. I think it'll be interesting. The cover's very summery to me because it's like a girl underwater, but I feel like it'll be a fun read too. A lot of mystery-esque books happening, which is very like different to me, but I'm honestly kind of loving it. Then we have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, which is a romance book, but I feel like just like a mystery, when it comes to uni, I need books that are just palette cleanser, easy. I know what's gonna happen. I know they fall in love at the end. Also, I do feel like a lot of the times during the uni months, I read a lot of romance books that I don't like, I like go into knowing I'm probably not gonna like them because they're very rom-com, just have tropes, have writing, have things that I don't really enjoy. But there are certain romance authors that I really do enjoy, like Abby Jimenez, who I feel like are a little bit more like women's fiction with romance. And I would say Abby Jimenez is, out of all the romance authors that I do really enjoy, I'd say are the most rom-com-y, but I do feel like they still have a very thought through emotional storylines and things occurring, and I've heard nothing but wonderful things about them. I've only ever read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez and I absolutely loved it. Like, it was a 5-star, and so I got a box set of Part of Your World, Yours Truly, Just for the Summer, and Say You'll Remember Me like a week ago. because it was like 20 quid. I was like, I got it. I'm sorry, 4 books for 20 quid. I think I need more romance books and stuff like that I will genuinely enjoy, because I feel like I just grab a random book on Libby that's a romance book that I don't really see myself enjoying, and then I read it and I'm not having the best time, and it's not the escapism that I want. So I'm excited for this one. I don't actually know what it is. I don't want to read like the whole blurb, but maybe a little bit, just to get a sense of like, is it second chance? What are, I don't know, their jobs? What are, you know, stuff like that. So let's dive into this. After a wild bet, Alexis Montgomery has her world turned upside down. The cause, Daniel Grant, a ridiculously hot carpenter who's 10 years younger than her and as casual as they come. The complete opposite of sophisticated city girl Alexis, and yet their chemistry is undeniable. I do feel like the premise of her books are very rom-com-y. They always have, I've literally read one, but I've heard they always have like a very obvious like meet cute at the beginning. It like follows classic rom-com movie lines and stuff, but there's a lot more depth to them. While her ultra wealthy parents want her to carry on the family legacy of world-renowned surgeons, Alexis doesn't need glory or fame. She's fine with being a mere ER doctor, and every minute she spends with Daniel and the tight-knit town where he lives, she's discovering what's really important. Okay, I'm not gonna read the rest, but I like that. I like the premise. I think that's fun. It's very like, you know, big city girl goes to a small town, finds a man. You know, it's a very cliche, but I do really like her writing. So I think this will be perfect for times when I just need to cleanse my mind. Then we have God Killer by Hannah Kanner. I believe that's how you say her name. This book is another fantasy. I think it's a trilogy, or at least there's just currently 3 books out. I've heard great things about this book. I think I've only seen it actually like talked about once, but in an amazing way. But the Waterstones near me, I think like 2 years ago now, had it as their book of the month when I was checking out a different fantasy book, and they were like, we really highly recommend this one. Like, I think you'd like it based on the book that I was currently getting. And I looked at it and I thought it looked really good, but I was like, I don't need to buy it right now. But I had always had it in the back of my mind as like, I want to read that book. And now we've already got 3 books in the series out, so I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to finally read it. So I got all 3 of them on my Kobo. Don't know if I'm gonna finish all of them, but I wanted to at least put that one on my TBR. I like high-key don't remember what it's about, but we'll see. I remember it being really interesting when they told me about it in Waterstones. Kissen's family were killed by zealots of a fire god. Now she makes a living killing gods and enjoys it. That is, until she finds a god she cannot kill. Skedi, a god of white lies, has somehow bound himself to a young noble, and they are both on the run from unknown assassins. Joined by a disillusioned knight on a secret quest, they must travel to the ruined city of Belenrodin, where the last of the wild gods reside, to each beg a favor. Pursued by demons and in the midst of burgeoning civil war, they will face a reckoning. Something is rotting in the heart of their world, and only they can be the ones to stop it. Okay, interesting. Like, I feel like there's a very obvious plot that we see. I couldn't really tell if it was 2 or 3 people, like the main character and then the 2 other people going to beg something of the gods. I think that's very interesting. Yeah, I'm very excited for that one. So, God Killer. Then we have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Although I know in the fall time I typically don't like to go for classics or too much literary fiction, just because I feel like my brain is very preoccupied by uni. I do want to read The Bell Jar because I got a decent amount through it last fall, and then I put it down because I just was like, there was too much going on. But I feel like this could be like a chapter a day kind of book, or like few pages a day, chapter every few days, something, you know, where I'm not just sitting down and just reading this book, but I do really want to get through it. And I feel like the fall time, it just feels very The Bell Jar to me, and I've been wanting to read this book for a very, very long time, and I really liked her writing when I started it last year. So yeah, I do want to continue that. So we have The Bell Jar. This one, it's like, it's less on the list of books that I really think I'm gonna get through on my TBR just because it is a classic and literary fiction. But I think if I stick to like just reading a few pages of it every day, not sitting down and having this as my main book, then it could be good. Then we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I have wanted to read this book so bad since it came out. I have yet to read a single V.E. Schwab. Like, I wanted to read the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. I wanted to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. There are other ones that I also have on my Kobo that I just can't remember right now, but Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil has sounded like the most intriguing V.E. Schwab book in such a long time to me. First of all, like, I know people love V.E. Schwab and her writing, and so I feel like I will probably also enjoy it. I've heard, okay, this is the tagline that I've heard, toxic lesbian vampires, and love that already. And then I've seen that it's like, I think it's 3 different vampires and they're all in like a different time period, and then I think it's how they like meet and intertwine through time, and I just feel like it's so interesting. I also am obsessed with the cover. Like, I think it's so beautiful. So Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, really want to read. Then we have We'll Prescribe You a Cat by Seo Ishida. I'm not completely sure how to pronounce her name, but I think that's correct-ish. Anyway, I got this book last year for my birthday from one of my friends, and I've really wanted to read it since. I just had other books that I was reaching for more in the past year. I just feel like it'll be a fun little book to sit down. I think there's a few different stories, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think there's like 4 or 5 different stories of cats and the owners that they have. Basically, like, instead of being prescribed medication, you are prescribed a cat to like help you, and I just love that like idea. And I think it's from the cat's perspectives. So it says like, Bee, a female mixed breed, helps a disheartened businessman find joy in physical labor. Margot, a muscular as a boxer cat, helps a call center worker gain respect at work and at home. And there's other ones. I just think the idea of that is so cute. And it says, a cat a day keeps the doctor away. On the top floor of an old building at the end of a cobbled alley in Kyoto lies Kokoro Clinic for the Soul. Only a select few, those who feel real emotional pain, can find it. The mysterious clinic offers a unique treatment for its troubled patients. It prescribes cats as medication. I love that. I love when Japanese authors have magical realism. I feel like they just put it in such like little but magical ways, and I think it's really interesting. And I'm very excited also because it is like 4 or 5 separate little stories. I can just like sit down, read that, and then not feel like I have to read the whole book, because it is also like magical realism, more literary fiction, more less of just like a la story like a romance or a mystery will be. I think it'll be nice to split it up like with the bell jar. So I'm very excited for this one. I think it's gonna be really cute and really exciting. I low-key think I'm literally reading 2 books right now. Like, I shouldn't start this tonight, but like maybe I will, because I feel like it'll be cute to just like jump into one of the stories. Then we have A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir, which is the 2nd book in the An Ember in the Ashes series, which I read An Ember in the Ashes about, I think, a month ago now in a 24-hour reading vlog, and I love that book. I read it and I was like, I could 100% see the series being a 5-star series. I wasn't in the biggest fantasy mood, and I think the way it was written was just very interesting. It's obviously a fantasy series, but at least the first book wasn't that fantastical, which I honestly really enjoyed. Like, we had some of my favorite things that we have in a fantasy. There was like a academy setting going on. It was very like real world. Like, the magic that was in it was very light, and I think it'll definitely come to play more in the rest of the books, but I enjoyed the way that we didn't really have it yet. I thought that was very interesting, but it still felt like you were in a fantasy. Like, it was still very high stakes, you know. There was the academy setting, there was a lot of death. I feel like the character friendships and, dare I say, like, found family in it was just very like loving, and you could really tell the relationships between everyone were so real, and I really enjoyed it. And so this is the 2nd book in the series, and I am so excited to read it. I really want to get to that soon just because I love the first book, but I want to make sure that I'm reading it at like the perfect time, you know, when I will really sit down and enjoy it the proper amount, because I just really love that first one. So there's that one. And then our very last book, which I also got yesterday, is White Teeth by Zadie Smith. I've wanted to read a Zadie Smith book for years. My aunt massively hypes up Zadie Smith books as well and has said that she really thinks that I'll enjoy them. So when I saw this yesterday at like an independent bookseller little pop-up for, it was like $5.99, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I have so many books, but I've really wanted to read her books for such a long time. I actually don't know what this one's about, but I've heard really good things about White Teeth. It says early in the morning, late in the century, Cricklewood, Broadway. One of the most talked about first novels ever. White Teeth is a funny, generous, big-hearted novel adorned by critics and readers alike, dealing, among many other things, with friendship, love, war, 3 cultures and 3 families over 3 generations, one brown mouse, and a tricky way the past has of coming back and biting you on the ankle. I'm excited. I'm excited. I just feel like there's just been so many good things said about her writing before. Also, I'm just flipping through, and in the top it kind of says like, I think that's the whole 3 cultures and 3 families over 3 generations. Like in this page it says like Archie 1974 to and then 1945. Then we have Samad 1984, 1957, and Erie 1990, 1907. I don't know if they're gonna necessarily combine. I think they are, but it's like split into, like, we have the Archie section, and then there's 5 parts in that, and then there's the Samad, and then there's 5 parts in that, and then there's Erie, 5 parts in that, and the Makid, Milat, and Marcus section, and there's 5 parts in that. And yeah, I'm very intrigued to read a Zadie Smith novel. I have yet to, like I said, and I've wanted to for a while. I feel like this one's definitely also going to be a little bit lower on the list just because it is relatively thick and it's a literary fiction, so I'm not as drawn to that just because of its not lack of escapism, but more I guess sense of like diving into the soul, and kind of like, I feel like you just think about yourself, think about the world a lot more in these books, and that's why I generally love literary fictions. I feel like they're just a very real way of like getting an understanding for the world and for humanity. I feel like all books are that, but I really do feel like literary fictions put you into that in a very matter-of-fact sense, if that makes any sense. But I do think because of that, it's not gonna be the top of my list right now when I just need some escapism and la-la-las. But I think also because it's split into 4 parts, I could, like, Will Prescribe You a Cat or like The Bell Jar, kind of read it more in chunks, which could be nice. But yeah, we'll see. We will see. But anyway, those are the 11 books I believe that I have picked out for my fall TBR. I'm very excited for fall reading, and low-key I think I'm gonna just sit down, start reading, maybe honestly start a reading vlog. I haven't done a reading vlog in so long and I miss them. I haven't properly read in so long and I missed that. So yeah, I think I might do that, and I will see you guys next week for hopefully my reading vlog video. Yeah, bye.